Hi there, Andy here, still 54 and wanting more. And this episode 16, I want to talk to you about change. Change, it's the one thing we can count on. It can be exciting, terrifying, unexpected, or even long overdue. But no matter who we are, where we come from, or what stage of life we're in, change is inevitable. And yet so many of us resist it, clinging to comfort, fearing the unknown, or doubting our ability to adapt. But what if we saw change not as something to fear, but as something to embrace? What if every shift, every ending, every new chapter was actually an invitation to grow, to learn, to become more of who we're meant to be? Today I want to talk about why nothing is permanent but change, and why that's not something to be afraid of, it's something to be empowered by. Okay, nothing permanent but change. The first time I saw those words, they were on a sign at my company that I used to work for, Wilkinson's Home and Garden Stores. Some of you might know it. And it was in the offices area, and it was there for all the staff to see, for us all, the management to see, all the supervisors, and it had been sent from our head office. And my first reaction when I saw that sign was, ugh. I mean, I hate change. I hated change, past tense. You know, you learn something and you put those skills to the test and you put those skills into action, and then they go and change it to a different system. So when I was at work, it was all about progression. If I think when I first started with that company back in 94, we were still using price guns and putting the little white stickers and pricing up the goods on the shelves. The next step from that was those barcodes, and then we had a stock management system, but we still had to put the prices on. And I tell you why we still put the prices on. Because J.K. Wilkinson, the old boy that owned the company, said that when you're a customer, when you go into a shop and you touch something and you pick it up, you want to know how much it costs. And even though we had the price on the shelf edge, he still wanted us to price each of those bottles of bleach individually. So I guess he didn't like change either. So for me, change was a negative thing. I didn't like it when things changed because I had to put extra effort in, I had to learn something new, it would be slow to start, and invariably it was just annoying because you had to do something different to what you was used to doing. So that was my whole attitude, and I'm going back 30 years here, and that's pretty much was my attitude up until I reached my 30s. And then life did change for me because I lost a very close friend to cancer. And almost instantaneously, I thought things have got to change with me personally. And at that point, I looked at my whole life and thought, I am not currently happy about what I'm doing. I was a workaholic. I didn't go on holiday at all. I mean, I just worked through all my holidays. So it was just, I thought I need to change something. And what I did, one evening, I sat down and looked through the local free newspapers. I don't know if they still do those. And it was the end of August, which is my birthday, beginning of September time. And that's when the new colleges start with their courses. And there was a whole 3 or 4 huge pages in there with all these new courses. And I looked through and I thought, yeah, some interesting things here. And I did a separate list of all the things I enjoyed doing, listening to music, reading magazines. Don't do that anymore either. And one of the things I enjoy doing is fitness, or health and fitness. And there was a course to be a fitness instructor. So to cut a long story short, I did the course, qualified as an instructor, and then proceeded to hand my notice in and leave the world of retail, which I'd been in for 12 years. I had a fantastic job. It paid very well. I was very comfortable, but my time was not my own. So I changed not only to a new career, a new job, it was a lot less money, a lot less secure, and I moved to a different country. I went to move to Turkey, where I wasn't very strong in the language, obviously a totally different culture, and I'm not going to lie, it wasn't easy. I should say within that first 2 years, I was going home, I don't know, every couple of months. I'm like, I'm quitting, I'm going back, I'm going back. But I persevered with a very supportive husband, and thank God I didn't quit. I love that country, and I ended up having the most fantastic lifestyle out there and met the most fabulous people living in Turkey from all over the world. There are 26 different expats out there, and it was a whole new thing for me. It was completely different. Change, how not to fear it. From that point again, things changed for me 15 years later when I got divorced. It was a bit of a cliche. I was in my 40s. I cut my hair. I'd always had long hair, so I cut it on my 40th birthday this short. I should have done it earlier. And yeah, total cliche. 40, divorced, and now I felt like I had to change again because I lost my fitness business in the divorce. And a friend, a very supportive friend, just commented one morning while we were doing our morning walk, coming down the castle, there was a cruise ship coming in. She said, why don't you do something a bit different for a change? You know, get out of here, get out of this environment, try something different. Why don't you go and work on a cruise ship? 2 weeks later, I had an interview. A few months after that, I was on a ship, started again, a new life, changed again. And of course, there was anticipation, there was nervousness, there was fear of the unknown. I ended up at the age of 41 on the top bunk in a ship sharing a cabin with a 19-year-old. Yeah, not your average change in environment, I know. But wow, what an experience I had that first year at sea. It was fantastic. It was a great start to my 40s. And I mean, I have absolutely no regrets. But I could quite have easily just sat there and plodded on and took no direction and had no motivation to change. But it was so important that I did. And moving on, we get to COVID 2020. Guess what? We all had to change then, didn't we? I think a lot of people changed their environment, their jobs, their lifestyle when COVID hit. We all had to change. We all had to adapt to something alien, to what we just did not know. And it was okay, wasn't it? We got through it. I know it was very, very difficult for some. I ended up being a package deliverer for Royal Mail, and it got me out of the house and it paid the bills. Fine. After that, I went into property, and after that, it's a year this month that I have been in the travel business. 1 year. And again, last year when I started this, it was daunting. It was a lot of investment that I had to put into myself because I had to learn again. And my grey cells don't work as quick as what they used to do back when I was in my 20s. So, you know, I really had to persevere and knuckle down, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed what I was doing. And a year on, I feel like I've found my feet. I feel very comfortable in my shoes. And I have to say, it's taken a year. It has taken 1 year to get my head around the whole business, the way it works. And I'm loving it. I now have a freedom of lifestyle, a freedom of time. I have financial freedom. And basically, I can live my life on my own terms now. I don't foresee another change in my future, but who knows? Who knows? You never know what's around the corner. Never say never. So my final words are, don't be afraid of change. It's not an ending, it's a new beginning. Change is something not to fear. It's life's way of moving you forward to the places where you need to grow. And as someone once said, if it wasn't for change, there would be no butterflies. Just a short one this week. If you can like, share, comment anything down below if this has resonated with you, I'd really appreciate it. And yes, I'll see you next week.
Wait.
And if you're watching this, episode 16, I have launched a travel club this week, Andy's Travel Club, and you'll find that at NelsonTailoredTravel.com. Have a look at that if you're interested. Also, you can take a look at Nelson Tailored Travel on Facebook and Instagram, and from there you can see what Andy's Tailored Travel is all about and the travel club. So yeah, moving onwards and upwards. It's all about change.